Hey, welcome back to another Hexarchy video. I'm going to talk about Hegemon quick here and just go through a little example of how to maximize your score in it. Now, there's a couple different things you can do with Hegemony. You can maximize your score per run, or you can maximize your score per, your time invested. But essentially what I do is I wait a little bit until it starts, and then I pick someone who doesn't have a lot of people playing it, and that lets you get pretty much keep all your score at the end. You'll lose a percentage of your score based off of how many people are playing it. Now, how the scoring works in this is you'll get the points that you've scored in the game, but you'll also lose 10 per turn. So generally, if you're actually making more than 10 points per turn, then you're better off actually not doing the objectives and just continuing to push your score up. So in the first two modes of this was store 55 gold, and then another one was control 15 hexes and kill somebody. So in both those games I didn't do the thing that they asked me to do, and I instead just pooled up to 200 and plus points. And then that kind of let me get 441 points in two modes. So here's an example of the game 2, which was to basically eliminate a player. And you can see that I choked out Egypt on the bottom, and then we basically just spread and got a ton of points. And it's turn 11, and I've got more than my 10 points per turn here. So I'm actually doing better to let this game continue and get, as long as I'm getting more than 10 points per turn, then I'll actually do better per round to get a big score. Now, it does take more of your time, so if you're actually just trying to grind points, it's usually better to just fling through this and do as many as you can, as fast as you can. But sometimes it's fun to just see how big of a score you can get. So maximizing your score requires you to know the most efficient conversion of gold and hammers into points. And in general, you want to spread out settlers as much as possible, getting holy sites. Then you want to conquer and capture any enemy cities, and then you want to spam craftsmanship on as many cities as you can in one turn. So this is the turn I figured I was really close to hitting the 200 to end the game, so I cut the deck down to 11 cards, and we're just gonna craftsmanship on everywhere, get a ton of culture, and maximize our score. So this was game 2, and I ended up somewhere around 230 points or something like that. I had 440 in 2 games. So we'll just watch the final turn here. Just skipping forward through all that. So that's the 440 in 2 rounds. And then now we're into game 3. So this is kind of one you can't really maximize too much on, because it actually will end at 160 victory points. So it's basically just a rush to 160. And this start is just atrocious. Deserts, grasslands, nothing but food. Almost nothing that I can get production out of besides a couple pastures and maybe a mine. This one is going to be a little tough, but we'll just kind of work our way through it. Something interesting happens actually on, I think around turn 3 or so, where I get a huge market offer of science. Let's skip forward to that. So on this one, 7 science, and it actually is fairly cheap to buy, and I've got a lot of gold. I do have market sweep. I was gonna market sweep it, but I thought, you know what, maybe I'll save market sweep for the turn after, because I've basically been piling up harbors on the existing cities now, and I was planning on expanding a lot and getting more harbors and then doing a huge market sweep. And I've got the goal for the science, so I figured, you know what, maybe we'll try to craftsmanship push, and we'll push right into the religion tree really quick. Now drawing gave me astronomy, so I figure that's a quick and easy harbor, and that'll get me enough money that I can basically just go buy all the science. Reshuffle, wasn't sure what science I was going to push deep into, but when writing came up, I was pretty sure we're just going to push right into religion and try to do a craftsmanship rush and end the game fast. Now, it was a bit of a miscalculation because I've got no hammer production. It's going to be really hard to actually cycle through the craftsmanship. But the game ended up working out okay. There's just really no production on the map. It's just a bunch of grasslands with nothing else, just food everywhere, and no useful production. Now, my hope here was actually not the Hagia Sophia. It was actually monasteries in all the cities, and hopefully getting a bunch of marble and then being able to market sweep it, because marble was fairly expensive earlier on in the game. It ended up working out. So here's the next turn, and we've got more science on the market. So someone's just dumping tons of science. So we figured, you know what, we're going to just have fun, and we are going to essentially bloat our deck with everything in the game, and then just play some hodgepodge potpourri game where we get whatever we get. I figured I might as well have fun with this last one. Now, what I could have done if I really wanted to maximize my score for the Hegemony was to just actually exit this game and then restart another one where you're not sitting in grasslands and deserts, and you can actually get around 200 points, around 12 points into the 12 turns into the game. 12 to 13, 14 turns is a typical score. But we figured we'd just have some fun with this one, see what we got. I mean, how many times are you going to get access to, like, roughly around 20 science by turn 4? So here's next turn, just trying to expand as much as possible. Settlers are a really efficient way to get points fast in terms of hammers per points, especially if you can capture holy sites. And I can see that there's a big one down at the bottom. Now, what I find works really well, pretty much with all races, but Persia especially is really good at this, is basically just pawn topping. So settling right on water, and then getting a harbor in each city. And then that way, at the end of the game, you can basically just buy a whole bunch of 2-for-2 food and luxuries. You can sell them back for 3 gold, so you can actually just make money off doing that. Or you can just bomb them into cities at the end for extra points. And your goal is pretty much just to spread out as far as possible. Each settler is going to take 7 tiles, so each settler is worth 3.5 points, plus then they're going to grow in size. You really just want each one to work 1 or 2 tiles, get a couple hammers out of each one or some gold out of each one. Ideally, you can put, you know, some kind of pasture down and get some resources or, you know, mines on something. But your main goal in this kind of thing is basically just to spread out as far as possible, especially when you get the access to raise and you can see the map and you can blow someone up right away, which I did with the Aztecs in this game. They were down south, and then I know I've got full expansion down south, uncontested, and I can just spam settlers down there. And then I just have to hold Greece off, maybe push into them if I want, but mostly just hold them off so I can expand and explore the map. So Greece brought in a little bit of a cavalry attack, which we held off with a fort and a crossbowman. I don't usually build fort, but it just worked out so perfect on that hex. I kind of couldn't not use it. I probably should have put a military engineer on the musketman, but what we'll do is actually put it on the settler here. Just get some roads out. Basically what I want is I want roads to help push the culture out into Greece with Hagia Sophia. And roads, the culture will expand faster on roads. It's maybe a mechanic that a lot of people don't know or pass over, but getting some roads down will kind of help push your culture where you want it to go. So a few turns later, we're actually pushing into Greece now, trying to get a big push of points from capturing a city. You get big, especially if you're taking over wonders, and you can get 30-40 points from a city. So it's always nice right when the game's about to end, if you can push in and capture something big, then you'll get a nice big spike. So we're going to try to do that here. Doesn't actually work out. We end the game before we can actually take any of the Greece cities, but that's alright. So that's it. Not a great score. 166 in 15 rounds. It's above the 10 per round, but it's really, you want to be getting higher than that. It was a really bad start. But you can even see, look at this. Look at that score. Just so nice. And if you're one of the only people playing that race, then you can basically keep all your points. So I'm keeping 90% of my points here. And you can see I'm pretty much the entire score for this civilization for this week so far. Anyway, thanks for watching. See you on the next one.